And the most efficient pharmacy is within your own system, the heart, the undeniably dominant organ of our body.
Welcome everyone on this beautiful evening. I, Hriday Das,
And myself, Sreshta Vishwas,
are pleased to welcome each and every one of you on this beautiful symposium on this World Heart Day. We are here to provide a heartfelt welcome to our guests on behalf of Hepatitis Foundation of Tripura, organizer of this symposium. Before we get started, let me throw some light on this purpose of this symposium.
World Heart Day is a reminder to everyone around the world to take care of their hearts. As the Hepatitis Foundation of Tripura gather together on this World Heart Day every year, this year's campaign focuses on the essential step of knowing our heart first. Because we love and protect what we know, and when we know more, we can take better of that.
We would like to thank our corporate partners Sun Pharma Cardiac Division, IPCA 3D Division, ZS Medica.
I sincerely hope that everyone will enjoy this session. At the onset, it is my privilege to invite the chairpersons of this session, Dr. Arnavi Lajpatpur Sir, Professor and Head, Department of Medicine, Agartala Government Medical College, Dr. Abhik Chakraborty Sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Medicine, Tripura Medical College. I apologize, sir. Dr. Abhik Chakraborty Sir, Professor, Department of Medicine, Tripura Medical College, and Dr. Pranam Kanti Datta Sir, Consultant Physician, Department of Medicine, IGM Hospitals.
May we have round of applause for our chairpersons.
Well, you know the sequence of the speakers? What is the sequence?
Good evening, everybody. Let us start the ball rolling. And the first speaker of the day is Dr. Atanu Ghosh. He is Associate Professor in the Department of Medicine from Agartala Government Medical College, and sir is having extensive experience on cardiovascular diseases. Sir, now the platform is yours.
Let's start with you.
Good evening, chairpersons and the learned gathering. Today, in the World Heart Day, my topic of discussion is diet and exercise in heart disease. What is exercise? Exercise means when large muscle groups contracts repeatedly and rhythmically, it causes increase in heart rate, increase in respiratory rate, thus it increased blood flow throughout the body. What are the subset of physical activity? It could be planned, it could be structured, it could be repetitive for the improvement or maintenance of physical fitness. Bodily exertion for the sake of developing and maintaining physical fitness, that is exercise. any movement that works your body at a greater intensity than your usual level of activity, that is exercise. It could be aerobic, it could be anaerobic. Here in the cardiovascular health, we are more concerned regarding the aerobic exercise pattern, and anaerobic exercise is mostly done for the weightlifters for building up their muscles, and aerobic involves continuous movement fueled by oxygen from air you breathe. It increases CV endurance. There is a dictum. Dictum is that people who exercise regularly less likely to suffer a sudden heart attack or other life-threatening cardiac events. It is widely accepted that regular physical activity is beneficial for CV health. Now this is the picture. The benefits of your exercise. Exercise causes vasodilation, angiogenesis, which has beneficial effect on cardiopulmonary oxygen delivery. Then it has anti-inflammatory effect acting on the cytokines. It causes improvement in the cardiovascular activity. The third is important one, that is the mitochondrial, the energy house of the cell, mitochondrial biogenesis, which acts on myotube, cardiomyocyte and adipocyte, causing improvement in the cardiovascular health. Now this slide is important. I want to give emphasis on this slide because how the physical activity improves the cardiovascular, reduces the cardiovascular mortality, reducing the risk and burden on the heart. What it causes? It causes biogenetics, mitochondrial biogenesis, increased fatty acid oxidation, decreases glucose utilization. Then there is in the heart there will be electrical agitation, increased ion channel expression, decreased resting heart rate, which is beneficial, increased myocyte size and physiologic growth. It decreases the pathologic remodeling and fibrosis, increased LV compliance, increased contraction relaxation velocity of the heart, and increases cardiac output. This is on the heart. Another beneficial effect on the blood cells, blood vessels. This is, it decreases atherosclerotic plaque formation. It stabilizes the plaque, atherosclerotic plaque. There is plaque regression. It decreases aortic valve calcification. It increases shear stress. It increases endothelial nitric oxide synthetase excretion, thereby increase nitric oxide availability. It decreases new intimal formation in the blood vessel. It has another beneficial effect in the form of increased vasomotor relaxation and vasodilation, decreased vascular resistance, increased organ perfusion, and decreased resting BP in the blood. It increases HDL. This is of great importance in the atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease is concerned. It reduces LDL, it reduces VLDL and triglyceride. It increases insulin sensitivity, thus beneficial effect in the cardiovascular effect throughout controlling the diabetes mellitus. It increases insulin dependent glucose uptake, improves glycemic control. There is increased circulating endothelial progenitor cells, increased erythropoietin, increased hematocrit and oxygen carrying capacity. So the robust benefit of physical activity, increased physical activity, beneficial to reduce the cardiovascular mortality. Now I have amalgamated diet and your exercise because both go hand to hand, both are interdependent. So it is said that we have to increase the protein intake from fish, poultry and nuts, and we have to avoid processed or unprocessed red meat. Thereby there will be lower incidence of coronary heart disease. Then it is said among the survivor of myocardial infarction, if they are fed on low carbohydrate diet, high animal protein and fat, they will have more increased risk of CV mortality. Now, how to quantify and how to prescribe for the diet in the cardiovascular health? There are so many indexes. Alternative Mediterranean diet score, AMED, scale 0 to 9. Alternative healthy food index, I will tell later this one. The another important thing, dietary approaches to stop hypertension, that is the DEL diet score. Reward points are given for high intake of 5 food groups of food like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes. Low dairy products and whole grains are preferred, and of course limiting high salt intake. Now regarding keto diet, the keto diet, this is something called high fat diet, moderate protein intake, low carbohydrate to facilitate weight loss, mental clarity and boost energy. American Journal of Nutrition, they have given a conclusion in 2019 that keto diet can lower markers of inflammation in circulation in 2020. They have commented that it could reduce LDL. In Atherosclerosis Journal, January 2020, they have written that keto diet decreases the weight HbA1c in T2DM, but there will be substantial rise in LDL-C. And there is controversies among the cardiologists. Some prefers, some doesn't prefer the keto form of diet. So there is a controversy regarding the keto diet, and it is said that plant-based diet reduces oncological, cardiovascular disease and disease-related mortality and prolonged lifespan. Now this is the how to quantify the intensity of physical activity. This is called MET, metabolic equivalent of task. See the lower light intensity activities, MET will be less than 3 when it is in between 3 to 6. This is moderate intensity activities, and when there is vigorous intensity activity, this MET will be more than 6. Sleeping is 0.9 METs. Bicycling when it is stationary, this is 3 METs, and rope jumping is equivalent to 10 METs. This one also something regarding the daily activity METs. The learning quietly is 1 MET. Mowing lawn, power mower, this is the activity is tuned as your 4.5 METs. And when you play squash, this is around 12.1 METs. Now, what is the importance of METs? Functional capacity of aerobic fitness, maximum oxygen consumption, VO2 max, reported at 1 MET at rest. VO2 max means the oxygen consumption. 1 MET means 3.5 ml per kg per minute, that is 1 MET. So why it is important? Improvement in functional capacity after a cardiac rehabilitation participation confers. See the benefit confers a 17 to 30% decrease in all-cause mortality. Now regarding some important things, this is the MUFA, PUFA, your saturated fatty acids, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, one fatty acid with single double bond, that is monounsaturated fatty acid. When there is two or more double bond, that is the polyunsaturated fatty acid. When there is no bond, double bond, that is saturated. MUFA, the prototype is oleic acid. The Canadian Cardiac Society advocates less than 25% of MUFA, whereas US Cardiac Society, they have advocated less than 20% of the diet. PUFA, omega-3 fatty acid, then it is rich in the fish oils, mostly in the sea fish oils, in the alpha-lipoic acid, canola, flaxseed, and soybean that are rich in PUFA. And regarding, I have seen in our neighboring country, they have advised for the cardiac patient regarding the not to take prawns, shrimps, but it is seen, it is written, the fat content is high, but the content which is there, that is good for the cardiac patient. There is no regulation for the intake of the shrimps and prawns. Rather, they have commented it is good. Now, this is the how to reduce the systolic blood pressure, which will have beneficial impact on the cardiovascular health. See, if you maintain ideal body weight or BMI 18.5 to 24.9, then there will be 3 millimeter of reduction in systolic BP for every loss of 5% of the body weight. Then this dietary pattern I have told, this is mostly the diet rich in fruits, vegetables, legumes, low fat dairy products with a reduced content of saturated and total fat. Then Mediterranean diet. There is no universal definition, but they have recommended consuming a higher diet higher in fresh fruit, vegetables, whole grains, omega-3 fatty acid, rich fish, nuts, avoid red meats, higher fat dairy products like butter, use olive oil and moderate red wine consumption. This will reduce 6 to 7 millimeter of systolic BP. Then sodium restriction, this is well known, we know everybody, if sodium intake is reduced to less than 2.5 or sodium chloride less than 6 gram, it will reduce 2 to 7 millimeter of systolic BP. Then exercise, that's why I am telling this is both goes hand to hand. Exercise with diet, exercise, engage regular, moderate to vigorous aerobic physical activity, 50 minutes per week. It will reduce 2.5 millimeter of mercury. Then reduce alcohol consumption. Alcohol consumption in the form of less than 2 drinks, that is 24 ounces of beer, 10 ounces of wine, 3 ounces of 80% proof whiskey per day in most men, and 2 less than 1 drink per day for women and lighter weight persons. It will cause reduction in 2 to 4 millimeter of mercury. Then this is the ideal diet. When you prescribe diet, this should be a prototype. Example, prototype of diet whom you can advise this kind of diet, like the saturated fat should be less than 5 to 6% of the total calories. PUFA should be up to 10% of the total calories. MUFA should be less than 20% of the total calories. Total fat should be 25 to 35% of the total calories. Carbohydrate should be 50 to 60% of the total calories. Fiber should be a part of the diet. This should be at least 20 to 30 gram per day. Then protein should be 15% of the total calorie, and total calorie energy, balance energy, to maintain a BMI of 18.5 to 24.9 to prevent weight gain. So this is a prototype of dietary advice which we can give to the cardiovascular disease patients. This is the same I have already mentioned: weight reduction, adoption of diet eating plan, dietary sodium restriction, physical activity 150 mg per week, and moderation of alcohol. This I will skip. Then I have mentioned previously alternative healthy eating index. It assigns rating to foods and nutrients predictive of chronic disease, depending on the vegetable intake and nutrients. Why it is important? It is important that high scores of alternative healthy eating index, there will be 25% lower risk of mortality, and the MS, they will reduce. There is robust reduction of 40% lower risk of CVD death. So this alternative healthy eating index is of immense importance. And American Heart Association recommends their diet over Mediterranean diet. Then this is the one definition for the training program: 6 week, 6-minute walk test. This is the integrated activity for cardiopulmonary system. The total distance is about to be covered 400 to 700 meters. For 40 years, it should be nearing towards the 700 meters. And when it is 60 years, it should be your up to 400 or 500 meters. How to prescribe them? According to the BORG rating index, the BORG rating of perceived exertion to measure individual effort and exertion, restlessness, fatigue during physical work. If the point is given, previously it was 6 to 20, now this is 0 to 10, 0 for no activity, and maximum is 10. This I have already mentioned. Now regarding the some diet in the patient who suffered from STEMI, they should have bed rest for 6 to 12 hours. If there is no complication, they should sit upright, then feet from the side of the bed, sitting in the chair in the first 24 hours. This will have psychological impact and reduction in pulmonary capillary waste pressure. If there is no complication, no hypertension, increase in ambulatory duration to discharge the patient by 3 to 5 days. And regarding the diet, because they have a risk of nausea and aspiration in the first 4 to 12 hours, then they should have either no food orally or clear fluid. Typical CCU diet should be less than or equal to 30% of the total kilocalories as fat, less than 330 mg per deciliter of cholesterol, and it should contain complex carbohydrate 50 to 55% of the total calorie. They should not have any large meal, and diet should rich in potassium, magnesium, and fiber. Then what is the dietary advice? Everybody in the cardiovascular health, there is no scope for smoking. Everybody should quit smoking. They should stop alcohol, reduce food drinks, I have already mentioned, less than 40 units per week. Spread drinking over 3 days, avoid binge drinking. Low fat, high fiber, plenty fresh fruit and vegetable, whole grains. Avoid red meats, meat pies, sausage, fatty carbs of meat butter, ghee, lard cream, hard cheese, cakes, biscuits, food with coconut or palm oil. They advocate in the dietary advice, we should advocate increase intake of oily fish, avocados, nuts, seeds, sunflower, rapeseed, olive and vegetable oil. And salt, I have already mentioned, less than sodium chloride, less than 6 gram per day. Everybody should go for reducing body weight and maintain the recommended BMI. Then how to achieve the target for the exercise. We go by the component formula to determine the target heart rate for persons in training zone. Maximum heart rate 220 minus age, maximum heart rate minus RHR. The formula is targeted heart rate is maximum heart rate minus resting heart rate into percentage of intensity of work plus resting heart rate. By using component formula, we can prescribe regarding the intensity of exercise target. How it helps in the cardiovascular health, exercise help in improving insulin sensitivity, alleviate plasma dyslipidemia, normalizes BP, elevated BP, decreases blood viscosity, promote endothelial nitric oxide production. Then it improves leptin sensitivity to protect heart and vessels. Then there will be attenuation of sympathetic activity. Then BMI should maintain, they should maintain normal BMI 18.5 to 24.9. Why these things are advocated? Because physical inactivity is the fourth risk factor of death globally. Approximately 3.2 million deaths annually due to physical inactivity. Lack of exercise leads to 6% of the coronary heart disease occurrence globally. Then other benefits, as far as exercise is concerned, it decreases blood viscosity, which is an important function in the atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. It reduces systemic vascular resistance, more nitric oxide production, which is attributed to the shear stress in exercise, promote vasodilation, counteract platelet activation. There will be decrease in plasma fibrinogen level. Moderate physical activity decreases both platelet adhesion and platelet aggregation throughout down-regulating intracellular calcium but increasing cyclic BMP. But everybody, the cardiovascular health, they have advocated not to go for strenuous, acute, exhausting exercise. It may increase the sudden cardiac death. Then other benefit, the endothelial nitric oxide production. It will have not only relaxation of the endothelium, also maintenance endothelial function. Then in the rat models, it is shown that they have modulate the autonomic function in the form that when exercise will reduce the R wave, height of the R wave, then there will be reduction in the QT interval. And in the rat model, it is seen that there will be probability that there will be less chances of ventricular arrhythmia in rats who suffer from MI. Then it has antioxidant defense. Then leptin, the important thing from adipocytes, it's a circulating hormone which regulates food intake, energy metabolism through binding to the leptin receptors on the hypothalamus cells. Leptin inhibits hunger, prevents weight gain, and promotes positive energy balance. Leptin deficiency or leptin resistance promote diabetes, obesity, other metabolic disorders. Exercise improves leptin resistance and sensitivity, attenuates body weight, and promotes homeostatic control of energy balance. Exercise also directly works on leptin receptors to induce nitric oxide dependent vasodilation expressed in endothelial cells. Now see the benefits of the exercise. This is the first slide, the first picture of the heart. This is pre-training, normal pre-training cardiac structure. Then the characteristic features regarding the endurance training and the strength training. We are more concerned regarding the endurance training for the bodybuilders and who goes for the weightlifting. They need to go for a strength training. In the Endurance training, what is the characteristics adaptation? Mild to moderate eccentric LVH, RV dilatation, biatrial enlargement, normal to slightly reduced resting LVEF, left ventricular ejection fraction, no normal or enhanced early LV diastolic function, normal or enhanced LV twisting and untwisting. And the other side, that is your strength training. So we are more concerned regarding the endurance training in the cardiovascular health. We are not concerned for the strength training. We advocate endurance training for the cardiovascular strength, not cardiovascular health, not your strength training. This is the cardiac rehabilitation program. You have to grade it. You have to increase the grading of the time of the exercise in the treadmill. Then this is the benefit of your exercise on angina. They have shown that in the trained limbs, they will have beneficial effect as far as angina appearance is concerned. But in the untrained limb also, there will be beneficial effect. There will be delayed onset of angina following exercise. Now this one also, the comparative study regarding the pre-training heart rate and post-training heart rate, there is also, it is shown also from this slide, it is clear that apparent that post-training will have more tolerance to angina. Now, exercise, diet and cardiovascular health, physical activity is a part of everybody's life. The exercise intensity differs between people depending on the physical condition of individuals, although lots of studies show a positive correlation between exercise and good health. A thorough physical evaluation is necessary. What I have told you, the maths, the carbonate formula, the 6-minute wash test, depending on that basis, we can advise for the physical training. Then the intensity, mode, duration and frequency of exercise can strongly affect outcome. Exercise with guided adhesion will have robust benefit. People who exercise, this is the dictum I have already mentioned, people who exercise regularly are less likely to suffer a sudden heart attack or other life-threatening cardiac event. Frequent exercise is robustly associated with decrease in CV mortality as well as risk of cardiovascular disease. The recent journals, what they have mentioned, in the recent work they have seen 1 millimeter, see only 1 millimeter of reduction in systolic BP associated with 20.3 fewer in blacks or 13.3 fewer in whites heart failure events per lakh person per year. See what is the benefit of only just reducing the 1 millimeter of systolic BP, there will be the immense benefit as far as heart failure events are concerned. Dietary modification should run hand in hand with exercise. I think that is from my side. Thank you for the patient.
Thank you, sir, for the exhaustive review of the different literature and talk about diet and exercise in heart. Sir, take the seat. We'll have a panel discussion at the end of the session. Now I request Dr. Anindya Sundar Trivedi, the cardiologist from our state. Anindya will speak on the ischemic heart disease, the optimal medical management. So Anindya, the stage is yours.
good evening, respected sirs and my colleagues. Today I will be presenting on about a topic which has gone through a lot of transitions in its name, so ischemic heart disease. So in the year 2019, ESC came up to propose more terminologies to call it as chronic coronary syndrome. And in 2023, when AHA came out with its guideline, the terminology is now referred to as chronic coronary disease. So what does it encompass? So it encompasses a wide spectrum of patients. These are the patients who are discharged after an ACS event and or after a coronary revascularization procedure and after stabilization having an acute CV issue. These are the patients who are having LV dysfunction, known case or suspected case of coronary disease, established cardiomyopathies of ischemic origin. Patients including stable ischemic heart disease. Patients having angina symptoms and evidence of coronary vasospasm or microvascular dysfunction. And those patients who are diagnosed solely as a result of screening tests, echo, stress ECGs or coronary CTs, and treating clinician concludes the patient is having coronary artery disease. This whole spectrum actually included now in the diagnosis of chronic coronary disease. So one of the important issue is a patient having a myocardial infarction, getting a discharge after 7 days becomes a patient of chronic coronary disease, which was not previously. We used to call it as an acute. We didn't have a proper duration of event when to convert a acute to a chronic. So now the guideline they have told whenever we are planning for discharge, the patient becomes chronic. So Indian perspective, as we can see from the map, there is a very much lack of data. Only J&K, Delhi, Tamil Nadu and some other states have some data. So there is gross lack of data among the prevalence and incidence of this chronic coronary disease. Among the world data, it is around 3% population is having some or other form of CCDs. So evaluation, how do we evaluate those? Generally, stable CCDs with the change of symptoms or functional capacity persist as along with their goal-directed medical therapy should be evaluated on the basis of PET, SPECT, stress echocardiograms to improve the diagnostic accuracy. Invasive coronary angiograms are done to guide the decision making and improve the symptoms. This is also a class 1. When selected for stress, nuclear MPI PET is reasonable in preference to SPECT as it gives better resolution. Exercise treadmill can be useful in evaluating symptoms of functional and also functional capacity. CT coronary angiogram, which is coming up nowadays, is also reasonable to evaluate patients of bypass grafts, having stents, and having previous coronary revascularizations. So, regarding the risk stratification and relationship with treatment selection, so it actually includes a lot of variables such as demographic, social, medical, and other risk scores. The treatment selection, here the most important thing is to optimize the GDMP. Invasive coronary angiogram to assess the coronary anatomy and revascularization potential of newly LVEF and heart failure cases with ischemic heart disease. Invasive coronary angiogram is not routinely recommended without LV systolic dysfunction, heart failure, or stable chest pain refractory to goal-directed medical therapy. So it is not that all the chronic coronary disease patients should undergo angiogram. It is a selected subset should undergo. Now, what are the features associated with high risk of MACE in coronary disease? The demographic profile is higher age, male sex, poor social support, poverty and lack of healthcare access. Medical histories which include elevated BMI, CKD, smoking history, peripheral artery disease, previous MI, AF, heart failure, dyslipidemia and depression. Here, one of the important issues, we know about a lot of factors here, but we have to see that the issue of depression, issue of mental health is coming up quite a bit of time in the newer guidelines. The features associated with high risk of MACE, we should go for some biomarkers which show good correlation with the mortality, such as high sensitivity troponins, beta natriuretic peptides. For diagnostic testing, a plethora of tests are available, which you all know, including ECG, echocardiograms, exercise test, coronary SPECT, CT coronary angiogram. The newer addition here is cardiac magnetic resonance imaging, CMR, which has a very good correlation in determining the ejection fraction. One of the important issue here is in echocardiograms, the right ventricle is only the neglected entity. So we generally neglect the entity and not evaluate it properly. So in case of CMR, we have a very good resolution, and the evaluation of RV is also very precise there. Now, what are the goals of treatment? Is to reduce the cardiac death, non-fatal ischemic events, disease progression should be halted, and symptoms and functional limitations are to be elevated. So, patient education and shared decision making is the new era. So, patient with chronic coronary disease should receive ongoing individualized education and symptom management, lifestyle changes. So, the risk factor modification also should be taught to them. And patients should be receiving ongoing individualized education. So, the patient education is one of the key factors here. And it is always a shared decision making which helps the patient. Whenever there is a risk factor to certain therapeutic or investigative procedure, you should be always explaining the patient regarding what is the procedure and how much is the risk, whether the patient is willing to take the risk for that procedure. That is very important. Nutritionally, what we should choose is vegetables, as Atma sir has already elaborately explained regarding this issue. So the most important thing that to be avoided are trans fats, baked foods, fried foods, hydrogenated oily foods are to be avoided. And in patients with chronic coronary disease, we have seen that there will be a lot of ads if you go online or in Facebook or in social media also, that omega-3 fatty acid, vitamins, multivitamins to be prescribed. So it has shown that there is no benefit actually of these omega-3 or any vitamins in CBD risk reduction. Now, the issue that I was previously mentioning is screen and treat mental health condition. That is most important in nowadays era. So patients should be actively screened for mental health and assess the additional situation. Whenever there is they have given actually a mental health scoring. So whenever there is doubt, we should take the help of a psychiatrist so that they can be managed very well. Tobacco cessation is one of the very key issues. In every patient meet, we should be discussing this along with the patient, and it is a class 1 given by the AHA regarding should be helping out the patient in tobacco cessation, because that modifies the risk factors quite a bit. And behavioral intervention, pharmacotherapies, nicotine replacement therapies are also advocated. Alcohol and substance use in patients with CCDs, we should routinely counsel, as we knowing that our state is going through an evolution. There is more incidence of having IV drug abuse and all those drugs, hard drugs that we use. So we should be able to counsel our patients and know that whether there is any history of substance abuse, because many of the younger patients in next coming 5 or 10 years they might end up with coronary disease. So that ideology and should be screening actively for this histories. Limiting alcohol to less than 1 drink in case of females and less than 2 drinks in case of males. We should always be having a good counseling about the sexual health. One of the important issues is phosphodiesterase inhibitors like sildenafil should never be combined with the nitrate medication. They cause a drastic fall in blood pressure. So that combination is very deadly. And generally, many patients will be coming with a lot of prescriptions. We might have multiple drugs in together. So we should be trying to screen out that this sort of combination is not there, so that there is no drastic reduction in BP. So lipid management, how should we go? Those with the higher risks, we should advise high intensity statins. The goal is LDL reduction of more than 50%. If high intensity statins are not tolerated, moderate intensity or using combinations can be preferred. Next is regarding the very high risk groups. The high intensity statin, LDL-C who are having more than 100. So we should also try to lower the triglyceride. Icosapent pentylethyl is one of the molecules that is shown in one trial having some benefit. But there is some issues of GI upset and intolerability with that drug. It is also a costly. Next is BP management. Elevated blood pressures. Ideally, once it is more than 120, we should advise for weight loss, dash diet, physical activity, and reduced sodium intake, and eliminating alcohol. And hypertension, patients are preferred to be on ACE/ARBs, beta blockers if there is a compelling indication, which I will be discussing later on, and can be added on CCPs and MRAs also. One of the important issues in elevated blood pressure issues is Reducing the sodium is a very good idea, but it's a difficult one to persist. Many patients don't comply after a couple of months. And data has also shown that if persistently controlled on sodium, the BP reduction goals are not very well achieved by the end of 6 months. So addition of potassium in the diet is a very good option. So that also helps in persistent BP control. SGLT2 and GLPs. In type 2 diabetes, GLP and SGLT2 inhibitors are both class 1. Heart failure, when there is EF is less than 40, the SGLT2 is a class 1 drug, and more than 40 it is class 2A. So we should always try to have a weight measurement and good control of weight, counsel the patient regarding dietary modifications, and treat accordingly. In fact, the newer drug which has come in the trials is semaglutide, so which also can be used for giving very good cardiovascular risk protection and weight reduction. But it is yet a bit costly. It is available, but we should be in a couple of years it might come down in price. One of the important things that to avoid is symptomatic weight loss drugs. These are harmful. Cardiac rehabilitation actually plays a very important role in the patient group, which I have already told that after MI, patient got discharged within 7 days. Now they are labeled as chronic coronary disease, but in them rehabilitation is very much important so that they can get back to their life in quick succession. So it has exercise training, patient diet, nutrition, counseling. Many parts have been covered by Abhinusar also. Environmental exposure, which we ignore nowadays, is also one of the important issues. In the West, they are actually, as the guidelines are still unfortunately made by them, they are having a lot of wildfires. So that is also an environmental issue in their situation. Recommendation regarding antiplatelet therapy. So I will not go into detailed jargon here. I will show the slide. So here we can see in case of patients who are without oral anticoagulants indications, generally there has been no PCI or there has been a ACS event. Generally, it's safe to continue aspirin 12 months or beyond up to 3 years. Patients with ACS without PCI, generally up to 12 months is DABT. Then after that, DABT in a PCI case can be continued up to 3 years or can be switched to SAPT also. And those with oral anticoagulant indications. So initially, those who are having very high thrombotic risk, 1 month of triple therapy can be used, but you have to always assess the patient about the bleeding risk. And it should be again coming to a shared decision making, because this is not something that you should impose on patient. But you have high bleeding risk, you take immediately 3 drugs. So it should be a shared decision making. They should also know the risk of giving 3 antiplatelets. Then as soon as possible, we should try to switch to DABT. And once the indication of DABT is over by 6 months, we should switch to SAPT. Recommendations regarding beta blockers. Patients with chronic coronary disease with LVEF of 40 is a class 1. The previous history of MI, treatment with beta blockers is recommended. If less than 50, use of sustained release metoprolol, succinate, carvedilol, bisoprolol, titration according to the dose is still recommended and is class 1. But if there is no evidence of heart failure or ejection fraction is not less than 50, there is not any angina or uncontrolled hypertension, it's a class 2B. We should be actually reassessing by 1 year whether we need to continue beta blocker in those patients. And if no previous MI less than, no BP of less than, no EF of less than 50%, there is actually no benefit. Recommendation regarding DAS is again, the phenomenon is once EF is less than 40, these things are all beneficial. They are class 1. Once the EF goes up, very few drugs are there to work. Even SGLT2 inhibitors become class 2 once it is more than 40. Colchicine is one of the molecules which has gone through multiple trials here and there and shown quite a good bit of benefit. It is actually related to the inflammatory aspect. Many times we chase the LDL rule, only the lipids we chase, but we should to understand the atherosclerotic plaque is involving not only lipids but also the cells which are related to inflammation, the macrophages. So the inflammation always play an important role in rupture of those plaques. So the plaque stabilization, colchicine has shown some data to having good benefit. Yet larger trials are awaited to have a very good outcome. Immunization in CCD patients, including annual influenza and COVID-19 vaccinations, both are class 1, and pneumococcal is class 2A. Now, how to manage the angina? As first drugs, actually, what should be using is beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, or long-acting nitrates. That's the one thing. Many times we face that in case of angina, we are using either nitrates, ranolazine, or higher group drug, and not using the beta blockers. Beta blockers are actually the first line of drugs to be used. Then, if symptoms continue, we keep on adding. In US, the ranolazine is the only drug additionally available to them, so they use ranolazine. In India, we have a lot of drugs, so that we can add on to the drugs. The ESC actually gave a very good flow chart, so that we can use the beta blockers or calcium channel blockers as standard therapy. We can combine if the heart rate allows, so that both can be given. We can add the second line, such as nitrates, and in the fourth step, we can add nicorandil, ranolazine, trimetazidine. These drugs are helpful. Now, revascularization, in case of want to refer for revascularization, actually, ideally we should first try for maximum GDMT. Once the maximum GDMT failing, still patient is having symptoms that are limiting his lifestyle, we have to consider revascularization. Actually, one of the things that we want to explain here is that few people come to us with effort angina. An effort angina after walking like 3 kilometers, and we give some nitrates and that now has come down.